We got a lot to talk about, and I want to make sure that you have all of the information. We are going to be talking about the whole super secret Discord thing today and how I've been involved and how I've not been involved. My whole story, because it seems to have become news. I really don't have a whole lot to tell, but I do have an experience. And if you guys want to hear that from me, I do not mind sharing it because I really don't have anything to hide. It's been interesting. It's definitely been a learning experience, and I want to try and get the whole thing out in one go. If there's anything I need to follow up with, maybe I'll probably just try and keep it to the community tab. And I will say also, this is my first time going through something kind of like this, this degree of feedback, some of it decent, fair feedback. And, the spectrum all the way to hate in big numbers for me, for my size channel, right? It's not something I've experienced before. Let's just leave it at that. And, I needed a moment. I needed a moment to collect myself. I'm not a full-time creator. I would love to be at some point, but I'm not. And I was spending time with my family over the weekend. I'm just not making videos all day, every day, and I needed a minute, I needed to reflect. Oh my God, sorry, I'm just thinking of that. I will reflect. But I did. I needed a minute, kind of gather myself, and then be able to think more clearly about it all. I definitely feel I've gotten there at this point, and I'm ready to say it all. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm gonna ramble quite a bit in this video. I'm not going to apologize for that part. I think if everybody wants to know my side of the story, I'm going to tell it in full. And I don't have a script today because I'm really just telling my own story. So I know it by heart. And I do have ADHD, so I might get a little bit scattered. I might go on tangents. And that's why having a script actually generally helps me. It, keeps me on task, on target. But if I had tried to script this, it would have taken me probably 2 weeks to get this video out because I'd start trying to make it perfect. So I figured being a little bit rambly is better than waiting 2 weeks to get a video out. So that's kind of my thought process on that. I'm sorry it's not even going to be that great, but it's what I got. It is my story, and I will tell it to you in full. Where to begin? Here's how I joined the super secret Discord that, to me, was literally just the first Discord I've ever been invited to. It was very much a small group of people in a Discord who were inviting me to join them and talk about Gore World. And the reason that they invited me in the first place, it was about a month into when my channel was being attacked and I was getting all of those privacy complaints. And that was also a really tough time. I felt strong and solid in my strategy and what I was doing. Yes, I did feel confident in those moments, but it was also very exhausting. And the moral support that was, kind of being extended to me via this invitation, oh man, it was really welcome. And I have to say, it was so nice to kind of be accepted into this really small group. Honestly, let's talk size for a second. So I get the feeling when I see all of these videos covering this, but people think this is a much larger server than it was. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but that's just the feeling I get. And I want to say that this was actually a very small Discord. From my experience and in the time that I was in there, which was a very short amount of time, I would say there were 10-ish people active at the time. 10, 12 maybe. And then there were absolutely a few more people who were inactive, never participated in any of the conversations, but was still there in the server. But yeah, it was really small. It wasn't just one of these, 500 people, 800, 1,500 people servers where everyone is still kind of a stranger. It was the opposite. And am I naive to have thought of it as a safe space. Yes. Yeah, that is definitely a big lesson I am taking away from this experience. I had never been in a Discord before. This was my very first time. I am an elder millennial who really just hasn't gotten into Discord. Here I am, really needing the moral support and also feeling like, I am still such a tiny channel and I'm getting an invitation into this small group of Grow World people. I had no idea who any of them were other than a few reactors in there that obviously, I knew them from their videos. And then there were some other people who I had never met ever. And this was my first time getting to know individuals, as well as I didn't know their histories, right? Their histories together on this server, their history together on other servers, if there was any. I didn't know any of that. I was just coming in. Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. And they offered me a ton of moral support. It was mostly after all of the privacy complaint stuff happened. Yeah, it was early September that I got invited into there. So yeah, most of that first month, it was mainly just me kind of getting to understand who was in there, getting to know the people, catch the vibe, see how people interacted. I would say I probably didn't interact a ton, but I was interested in getting to know these people and giving it a real go and seeing if I liked it. So I was definitely participating. And yeah, as I said, this was a pretty small group of people. We would be chatting on and off all day and all hours because of time differences in the world. And kind of just depended who was awake, and we were just chatting. That's it. It was actually really nice to be in there. It was not a lot of shit talking, honestly. You guys have seen 8 screenshots? Out of how many could there possibly have been from that time period? I'm not going to say blame it on the edit, those didn't happen, but I will say that it felt very curated, really to make us look the worst we could look. Because the vibe you get from those screenshots, that there are definitely not great things said in there. I'm not going to talk about what other people said, but the one thing you saw me say, I will talk about in a little bit, but I will get there. Probably not my best moment. So, as I said, we'll talk about that in a minute. However, the point I want to make right now is that truly was such a small part of the whole conversation that would happen in there. The entire snapshot of what people are seeing of this Discord really doesn't represent it well. Did it happen? Yes. Does it represent the Discord? No, I really, truly, it just doesn't. Hey, this is StudioDeets again. I just wanted to come back and mention one more thing about this. One of the unfortunate parts of all this is that because that server was blown up, it doesn't exist anymore. And there's no way for any of us to go back in there and take other screenshots to share all of the really nice conversations that were happening. It's easy to cherry pick some of the worst things in a place that's actually really great overall, and then turn it around so that it looks like a really bad, mean girls kind of place to be, which it wasn't. I wouldn't have stayed there if it were, but I can't prove it. It's gone. I can't go in and show you that. So as I'm in there, not only are they offering me some moral support as I'm kind of coming out of the other side of all the privacy complaints and everything, but we're sitting in there and telling each other when anybody is online. Amber's on, and then we'll kind of chat together as we watch separately. Like we, want to make a comment, we comment to each other. Make a little, oh my god, did I hear that right? Did Amber just compare herself to Anne Frank? Stuff like that. Mostly. Still don't know these people. Let's be real. I don't want to come off as parasocial here because I know that we don't know each other. That's where I was at with this group. Before I get into the drama of it all, I do want to say this. I know that a lot of people have said there's no such thing as a private Discord, and I would be and have been naive to think anything else. Okay, there are just a couple of things that I want to say about that. The first thing about it is that this was something that you had to be invited to. It wasn't publicly open and available. Only, I think, one, maybe two people had the ability to offer invites. I couldn't invite anybody if I wanted to. So I don't think this can be compared to, for instance, sharing comments that somebody left on a public-facing YouTube video, like I do sometimes, right? Those comments are left there knowing that they are in full public view and will be seen by absolutely anyone who wants to see them because they're there publicly. Whereas this you had to be invited to. It is not the same thing when there's only one or two people who have even the power to extend an invitation to enter this server. It does say private. Even if there are people out there saying no Discord is private, technically this was a private Discord server. Only a couple people can send invites. I don't see that being public, okay? That could be getting into semantics, but honestly, I really don't even think that's semantics. I think that's reality. It's just that people seem to think it's normal to make that public anyway. What I see is this normalization of behavior, of no server is private. Just makes it something that happens often. It doesn't actually make it okay. I honestly did feel violated seeing what I thought were private conversations being put in all of these videos across YouTube. I mean, just put yourself in those shoes of, man, I literally thought I was just speaking to some, relatively new acquaintances, and one of them did this. One of them took screenshots of our conversations that we thought were private, naively, and made them public. And yes, I was naive. I'll take that lesson and I will walk away with that for sure from this entire experience. Don't be so naive. Don't think it's a safe space, because no space is a safe space, I guess, on the internet. And I think that's also just really sad. I think it doesn't make it okay to do that. I mean, I really do feel like my privacy was violated. So whether you agree with that or not, fine. We're allowed to disagree on that. But it is how I feel. I still don't know, by the way. I don't know who. And I'm not in the business of assuming that I do. I wasn't in there very long. I don't know everybody that well. And I don't know. I don't know who may or may not be more likely to do something. Yeah, it just makes me really sad. It makes me sad that somebody did this. All right, let's get talking about Emily and that drama, right? Because then what I said, what's in the screenshot, comes after that. So I'm just going to go kind of in chronological order here, and we will eventually get there. It's like I wish I had the server to go look back in so I could really give a better timeline of events, but I can't because it's just not there to do that anymore. And then I could take screenshots of all the really nice things that we talked about and about other people, about each other, kind and supportive. Honestly, it was mostly very lovely. And beyond the kindness to each other, we tended to disagree a whole lot in that space. And not in a way where we were fighting about things, but in a way where it was a safe space to disagree like adults and not turn around and attack each other for our differing opinions, okay? It was a place where it was a sounding board, and if somebody said something that anybody disagreed with, that person would speak up about it and say, hey, maybe look at it from this point of view. We did not agree on everything. And just because one person in a group does something, that doesn't mean the rest of the group co-signs that behavior or that action. And that's exactly what happened here. We would talk about current events, past events, ask questions, get context, learn things from each other. You know, hey, do you remember when this happened, when Amber, was attacked by a goose? Something like that, right? And we'd find links for each other or give each other information that we could remember offhand. It feels like a lot of people think we were really just like all making this stuff for Rachel together, like as a group and making decisions, which is wild because it is so not what happened. Yes, there was a lot of back and forth, right? Rachel, that was a lot. She got a lot of stuff. Rachel wasn't sharing with us everything she talked about, especially as it was happening. Like she might come in and be like, hey, we talked about this a couple days ago. Here's some screenshots of that conversation. And specifically when we want to talk about the payments and all of the money exchanged, not exchanged with Rachel and Emily, Rachel did not bring that information about all of that conversation, the payments and all that, until after it had happened. Like both events, saying she would pay her to the saying she was no longer going to pay her. All of that had already happened by the time Rachel brought it to the Discord. We had absolutely no knowledge about it happening when it was happening. It had already happened. And our reaction was actually not a very good one. I think almost everybody else in the server had a pretty ooh, that's not good, Rachel kind of response. We didn't love that at all. And I remember myself throughout all of this time while Rachel was working on these videos with Emily, I said it at least twice. This is a person we cannot trust. And I think that I was very loud and very clear about that. And, Rachel, she is a big girl making her own content on her own channel, and she can choose to listen to us or not. So just because, there was me in the room saying, don't trust Emily, or somebody else saying, maybe you should consider doing this, or maybe you could consider doing that, Rachel didn't have to listen to any of that. We offered our opinions. She took what she wanted and didn't take what she didn't want. That's how this works. She's an adult. My involvement. That is the extent of my involvement in what happened with Rachel and Emily. I think that kind of concludes the chapter on my involvement with the Emily and Rachel situation. That is her gig. I just knew about it after it happened, but before you. Yeah. So I think I personally need a corgi cam. It is getting big and heavy and harder to talk about as we go. So let's take a little break. Okay, so timeline-wise, that comes after... Was there a date on it? Hang on. This was pretty late in the timeline. Although this screenshot has yesterday at 7:17 p.m., which doesn't give me an actual date. We do know that it was the same day as a Beast of Beast video, I guess. So, because that had been posted 5 hours before this. So whatever day that was when this happened. God. All right. And obviously the drama had really kicked off because Beast of Beast is not what I would call someone who is one of the main reaction channels, because he also does other types of content. So I have been watching Beast of Beast for probably about, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years at this point. I think he's like a nice seeming guy. He's pretty kind overall to people. I enjoy his takes for the most part. I don't agree with all of them, but that's natural and I don't have to. And there have even been times in the past where I thought that his videos really just didn't have all the information it should have had, given what he was speaking about. Like, it was really missing some of the context that should have been there, in my opinion. And so I've gone in and said exactly that. Like, hey, I don't think you are actually aware, but this also happened. I don't watch his channel all the time. I don't watch all of his videos, but I do watch a good amount of them. However, that doesn't mean I need to love all of his content. Now, does that make it okay in hindsight looking at it? No, I don't love it. I don't love that I use that word. And if I had thought that this was a public-facing thing, I would not have used the word crap. I wouldn't have. However, I don't necessarily feel that it's that terrible to have an opinion about another creator's content. I didn't go after Obese2Beast personally. And honestly, I sit here on this channel, for the most part, doing exactly that, is giving my opinions on other creators' content. So part of me is very much like, well, I don't know that having an opinion in a Discord on somebody's video is really any different than having an opinion on somebody's video on my channel. It would be a different story if I was attacking Obese2Beast as a person. I didn't like the way he looked. I didn't like the way he cut his hair, or what city he lived in, or why he moved across the country, making bad decisions, bad guy. Like, I never said any of that because I don't think it. All right, StudioDeets here once again, and it has come to my attention that people have mistakenly believed that I called Obese2Beast an idiot, which I absolutely did not do. The only thing that I said in any of these screenshots was that I thought a 20-minute video could never capture all of the information that had happened and gone on in this very complex situation with Rachel and Emily. That's it. I did not call him an idiot. Somebody else did, but it wasn't me, so I don't think I should be blamed for that language. It wasn't me. Let's focus on the things I did do. Did I do something a little bit rude? Yes, and let's talk about that. Since I wrote that, I have watched that video, and I still agree with that sentiment, to be perfectly honest. Do I wish I had said crap? No, I don't. I wish I had not. But again, I did. And so I do apologize for the fact that I used that word. It's not a nice word. I could have definitely been nicer in the way that I stated that. However, at the end of the day, I would still state that same opinion, just deliver it a lot differently in person, right? So when I first saw the screenshot, that was shared with me on it and what I had said, I said, okay, let me try and see this from other people's perspective. Let's remove everything else from this storyline. What if I'm the tea? What if this thing that I said was all of the tea there was? That was the whole thing that Charlie's video was about. It was me saying this. How are people going to respond to that? And to tell you the truth, I just didn't see people having the reaction to that you have now had, that people have had. So that's why I think I was really surprised when those comments and the DMs on Instagram really started coming in, calling me all sorts of things. I'm like, oh, damn, I'm watching my subscriber count go down a lot. And I was like, wow, damn, damn. And if there's any chance that Obese2Beast sees this video, I'm sure there is no way, because why would he? Obese2Beast, I am actually quite sorry that I used that language to describe one of your videos. It wasn't fair. It wasn't very nice. Okay, how do we want to wrap this up? Let's talk Fallout, okay? Let's talk about when I first saw that this information had leaked, when I first learned about it, and kind of what my personal reaction to it was. I learned about this, honestly, probably a bit later than it actually happened. At this point in my career here, I am not a full-time creator. I had less than 10,000 subs, and at this point, I have a lot fewer than that. I lost a lot of people, so it's their prerogative. I get it. I'm not complaining necessarily. I'm just saddened by it. I've just been a little bit slower to respond than maybe, a full-time content creator might be able to be. I am open to criticism fully. I am an artist, and my entire life and career has been nothing but feedback. It's not a problem for me. But I do want that feedback to be feedback on what has actually happened, what I actually did, an action I made, something I created. And what I saw happening feels really disproportionate to my actions. The feedback I've been getting and the types of comments I've been getting, they've been full of assumptions, false accusations, very unkind words. I don't need to talk about it at length. I just want to say it's really been disappointing to have this action, right? Sure, maybe you're disappointed in me. I get it. I do. For that to unleash the type of comments and accusations and slurs that have been coming at me has really just been very disproportionate and unfounded, honestly. Very, very disappointing, very hurtful. I'm not trying to get out of accountability or your feedback in any way. I'm just trying to say I wish that the fallout and the feedback and the name calling and the whole response just felt more in line with the actions that I actually took, which was one kind of rude opinion about a video. It's just hurtful. It is. It's hurtful. And I did choose this life, and I'm going to continue choosing this life. I enjoy making videos, and I really enjoy the production side as well as the storytelling part. Yeah, I guess I just want everybody to know that I have absolutely learned some things from this experience. We'll move forward without so much naivete as far as, discords and how trustworthy I can be of people there. I will definitely consider all of the word choices I use moving forward, no matter what the audience or who the audience is, how large it is. I think that's important to remember. I feel pretty beat up. I'm pretty exhausted. I don't know how much energy I'm going to have for the comment section, to be perfectly honest, in the next few days, but I did have some other videos I had planned to make today and tomorrow. I don't know. I'm definitely going to be putting those off just a little bit while I, collect myself, regain some energy. So I will see you soon. I hope that the things I have said have come across feeling authentic, because that is what they are. I'm not trying to protect anybody. I am not trying to make excuses for anything. I am really trying to offer the full story with all the context of my experience, and I hope some of you stick around. I'd like to continue doing this. I have a lot of fun. Maybe we'll throw a real corgi cam in here. I did get some footage from the other day. It was a really nice day. And if I do see you again, I look forward to it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.